The worlds of Bluey and Peppa Pig are getting ready for a special crossover episode just for you! Or at least that's what our sources have been gossiping about. Will the little blue dog and the little pig become friends? Maybe not, but let's find out. Bluey in London. You know that one of Bluey's biggest dreams is to visit the place where her parents met, and as Chili explains in the episode The Show, the two of them started dating when they met in London. This is the perfect excuse to create an episode where Bluey and the entire Heeler family travel to England, and there they meet Peppa Pig and her friends. Let's remember that in the episode Cinema, we see that there are other types of animals besides dogs in Bluey's universe, which means the rules of neither show would be broken. Bluey and Peppa could meet at a train station or at the airport, which makes even more sense since Chili works as an airport security officer, and a trip to London would also fit perfectly within Bluey's world. Now, if the two shows exist in the same universe, the big question is, where is Miss Rabbit in Bluey? The answer is nowhere. Peppa has already visited Australia in her own series, and there wasn't a single Miss Rabbit there. So once again, the idea of this crossover still respects the rules of both shows. Is there anything else to talk about? Let's find out. You know what's starting. It's another awesome Cinewave! Peppa in Brisbane. Of course, there's also the possibility of Peppa visiting Bluey in another episode. In this case, the story would be a special Peppa Pig episode where she travels to Australia. You might be wondering why Peppa would go all the way to Australia, but believe it or not, we already have the answer. As we've explained before, Peppa has a close friend who lives in the Australian outback. We're talking about Kylie Kangaroo and her family. That's exactly why Peppa has a great reason to visit Australia, and by a stroke of luck, ends up meeting Bluey. But will the two of them become friends? Let's find out if that will really happen. Enemies. Look, it's very possible that these two main characters won't like each other, and that's a pretty sad thing to say, but we have to be fair and tell the truth. Peppa and Bluey aren't as similar as some fans think, and even the things they do have in common could end up pushing them apart. Not convinced? We'll prove it. Bluey is the star of her own show, which means the entire dynamic of the series revolves around what the little blue pup likes. In Peppa's case, it's exactly the same thing, except everything favors the little pig. Do you see the problem? Neither protagonist likes taking orders or giving up the spotlight to someone else. We could call it the protagonist's curse, where only the main character gets to be the main character. I think we might be talking about an epic showdown. On top of that, people forget that Bluey is 7 years old while Peppa is only 4. In the episode Magic Xylophone, we see that Bluey doesn't have much patience for children younger than she is. When the little pup didn't want to lend the xylophone to Bingo because she was too young and too slow to play. Does that mean Bluey will be mean to Peppa? There's definitely a good chance it could happen. What do you think? George and Bingo. But what about the younger siblings of each protagonist? Would George and Bingo get along? In this case, we're talking about a very different kind of relationship. Both George and Bingo are very kind characters, and they both love nature. George is completely obsessed with dinosaurs, while Bingo loves insects, especially butterflies. Here we find a connection between the two of them. George has a spider friend named Mr. Skinny Legs, and that's something these two characters could use to become closer. The big question is whether Bingo will enjoy only playing dinosaur games, or if George will want to play something different. Maybe Floppy, Bingo's favorite toy, could make the little pig interested in other kinds of toys. What do you think? Would you rather be part of Peppa's show or Bluey's? Comment the hashtag friend so we can get to know you. Mud. Want to know a fun little detail? Peppa and Bluey could become great friends because of mud. Did you know that dogs love playing in mud just as much as pigs do? In fact, we have episodes in both series that prove exactly what we're talking about. The very first episode of Peppa Pig is all about this theme, with Peppa and George playing in muddy puddles, but there's also a story in Bluey that shows the little pup's relationship with wet dirt after a rainstorm. In the season 3 episode Dirt, Bandit Heeler buys a huge pile of dirt and lets his daughters play in the mud. He even uses a hose to soak everything and make it messier and messier. That's why we're sure this little detail would end up bringing all the characters closer together because, as we already explained, both dogs and pigs love mud. But here's the question. Who do you think would win a mud ball battle? Bluey or Peppa? Dinosaurs. Let's go back and talk about George for just a little bit longer. You've probably already realized that Peppa's younger brother would absolutely fall in love with Bandit's job, right? Mr. Heeler is an archaeologist, which means he finds things from the past past that have been buried underground. George is completely obsessed with anything related to dinosaurs, and that gives him a huge reason to want to get closer to Mr. Healer. If you've ever seen the scenes that take place in Bandit's office, you know there are some bones there that could very well belong to dinosaurs. That's why a Peppa Pig and Bluey crossover episode could be something very special for George. In fact, it could even help Bandit himself because, if you remember, George Pig once found a dinosaur bone in Grandpa Pig's backyard. Who knows? Maybe he could even teach Mr. Healer a thing or two. What do you think? Teachers. Now we're going to talk about a very delicate detail. The teachers from both shows, Madame Gazelle and Calypso. And would you believe that the two of them actually have something in common? When it comes to Madame Gazelle, everyone knows she's a vampire, and there's no point in saying that's not true because the show itself makes it very clear that Madame Gazelle doesn't have a reflection in the mirror, and that's one of the classic signs of a vampire. As for Calypso, we're talking about a good witch, or maybe even a fairy. She was the one who helped Mackenzie overcome his trauma, and she always knows exactly what to do to help her students. She's definitely magical. But we also have a problem. As far as everyone knows, Madame Gazelle is a villain. Not that she would ever do anything to the children, nothing like that, but vampires are very dangerous. And Calypso is a good fairy, so will they become friends? Calypso might see a vampire as a serious danger to the children, and that could create a huge problem. It's entirely possible that the two of them wouldn't get along very well. But what do you think? If a battle between them really happened, then it's very possible that Calypso would expose Madame Gazelle and reveal that she's a vampire. That would definitely be bizarre. Honey. There's another detail that very few people have noticed. Honey, one of Bluey's friends, may have already known Peppa Pig for quite some time. Don't believe it? In the mini episode Alongside, we can see in Honey's bedroom that she has a picture of a little pig hanging on the wall. And yes, that is a reference to Peppa Pig for one very simple reason. Honey is a character in Bluey whose family comes from England, and her house is filled with references to the country she came from. In her room, we can see several clues connected to the world of Harry Potter, and that's not all. Honey's entire house is a tribute to British culture, and of course, Peppa Pig is one of the most famous things ever to come from the land of Queen Elizabeth. That's why, if we see an image of Peppa in Honey's room during a crossover episode, it would mean that the little pig already exists within Bluey's universe. All we need to figure out is what Honey's relationship with the pink pig might be. The two of them could be friends, and Honey may have even attended the same school as Peppa, with Madame Gazelle as her teacher. That would certainly be a good reason for Honey to have a picture of Peppa hanging in her room. Do you agree? The dads. And we have one more very sad detail about this Peppa Pig and Bluey crossover episode that might shock you a little. Daddy Pig would almost certainly feel sad when he realizes just how loved Bandit is. Mr. Healer is without a doubt one of the most beloved dads in the entire world of cartoons. In fact, there's a very good chance that Bandit is the most loved cartoon dad in the world, and he absolutely deserves it. Unfortunately, Daddy Pig can't really say the same thing. In his case, it's pretty much the exact opposite. Peppa doesn't always treat Daddy Pig very well. She makes mean jokes about his weight and even made him run an entire marathon by himself. Not to mention the day when everyone forgot it was Father's Day and ended up making him a disgusting cereal and ketchup cake. When Daddy Pig sees how much Bandit is loved and respected, he'll probably feel sad and stop accepting being treated badly by everyone else. At least that's what we believe. And if you're not subscribed yet, you know what to do. Click and hit the bell so you don't miss any videos. Animation. Now that we've convinced you how amazing this crossover episode could be, we also need to show you how its animation style could change a lot about the future of both series. You already know that the animation styles of the two shows are very different. Peppa Pig uses a simple style that looks like it was painted by a child, while Bluey is more colorful and features a much more modern animation style. Now, if you had to choose between the two styles, which one should be used as the main style for the crossover episode? The answer is neither one nor the other. The truth is that both franchises are preparing to release movies next year, and both of those movies are expected to be in 3D. That means there's a very good chance the crossover episode could be animated in the same style as the upcoming theatrical films. But to find out whether that's really true, we'll have to wait a few more months until an official announcement is made by the animated series. Until then, stay with us for even more theories. It's almost over, but until then, you can stay with us. There are 2 super fun videos waiting for you. Thanks, and see you next time.